Aloha! Hello. I am here and I am in a whole completely different space than I was last week and the week before. So I don't know if you were here or you viewed this video on Facebook or on YouTube. By the way, if you are on YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe. Just click that little LC down there. Ooh, I might change it into a flower. So it's going to be one of the two. And click on subscribe so you see future soul channeling videos. And if you're here on Facebook live with me, you can ask a question. Today I'm going to be talking about boundaries. There's a reason for that. One, well, they're tied. It's a tie. One of the reasons is that I've been getting some major downloads about boundaries lately, and the other reason is that when people have been joining my free group on Facebook, I ask, what's your biggest challenge right now? Because really, everyone's got challenges. I have challenges. Everybody's got challenges. And one of the biggest ones is I need better boundaries. And boy, have I lived that one. So I totally know where everybody's coming from that is saying need better boundaries. It's like, oh my God, me too. Anella! Hi! Everyone, I have an announcement. Anella said that she'd love to be on the podcast. So you are in for a treat when that happens. Speaking of podcast, I'm changing it, I think. I wasn't going to announce this. I'm so like this. It's like I have an idea and it's like, oh, I have to do it right now and it's got to be done. And it's like, shh, just relax and let time, unfold and let the activities unfold and flow with it. You know how it is. So, anyhow, let me talk about boundaries. And if you, what are your perceptions of boundaries? And what are your perceptions of how you are with boundaries? Do you feel like you got super strong boundaries? Just put strong in the comments. And if you feel like, and that's if you're watching replay or you're here live, of course, because I know a lot of you will be here replay. Aloha to you all. And just let's start a little conversation, start connecting with each other. Do you have strong boundaries, weak boundaries? So in between, kind of like give a really quick tune in to your boundaries and just kind of see where you're at right now. All right. I think Anella can relate to my, I have an idea and it's just like, boom, let's manifest it this instant and let's have it all done right now. Because my idea is pretty big and it's going to take some time and I don't want to say effort, but some playing in this magical creation zone to actually bring it into full fruition and manifestation, which most things take that time. All right. Anella's strong boundaries. Lots of practice over time. Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh. How many times have we learned the hard way? All right. So let's talk about boundaries and how they relate to values. To me, it's like you can't really have boundaries if you don't have values. And we all have values. We all do, but are we conscious of what our values are? So again, I've been brain dumping and channeling like nuts on this. So I'm just gonna kind of share what I'm remembering from all of that brain dumping and channeling. And my work it looks like, and it doesn't even look like, I know full force that my work is really blooming into really, really helping people with setting their boundaries, keeping their boundaries, and upping their self-worth so that self-doubt that creeps. So anytime we break one of our boundaries, it's filled in with a wall of self-doubt. So they're very different. All right, that's the preview. Now let's break it down. So you've got to know what your values are. How do you find your values? Because you're not going to set boundaries which are kind of this protective force field around this value. That's what a boundary is. It's really just kind of this protection that you set around yourself. You can think of it as like part of your aura. My guides literally said it's a force field around I can't remember. They said a force field. And then they said that's not exactly accurate, but we like the visual. So it's like this protective force that you put around your values. But it's really hard to find your values sometimes. And I know, like, you can sit here and think, well, like, freedom is one of my values. But what does that really mean to you? What does freedom look like to you? If you don't really have a grasp on that, like, I don't really know. You know, if it means financial abundance, that's a completely different thing than it means I'm in my authentic voice all the time, right? So then where are you going to put your boundary? What are you going to protect about? Hey, Tasha, thanks for being here. Let me know how you feel about your boundaries. Like, are you feeling like your boundaries are strong right now? Or are they kind of weaker right now? They could use a little boost, or are they somewhere in between? Or do they go up and down like a roller coaster all the time, like many of us do? Anella, yes, when I had a difficult time with boundaries, I was still working on learning to love myself. Yeah. And that is exactly it. When we love ourselves, what happens is that self-love dissolves the walls of self-doubt that we put out. There's a lot to say about self-doubt. But simply, self-doubt is doubting the capital S essence source that we are. That's what self-doubt comes from. And we can't, when we're connected into that full source that we are, which is what the self-love, it's what the practice is why I do Kundalini yoga, because that practice has shown me the true essence of who I am, which is source, which is the capital S self. And when we are connected in with that, we have a very strong sense of self-worth and self-love, then we don't break our boundaries and we don't have to build those walls, which create self-doubt. So this is what I've been downloaded, and I know that I'm going to clarify and make more concise the messages that I'm getting, but that's the basic, that's how these three things really fit together. The values inform the boundaries, so we know where our boundaries are. And then to know too when we're breaking a boundary, and most of the time we are the ones that break our boundaries. But there's a very, everyone has the boundary of security and safety, right? So it is possible, and it happens, and it's not, unfortunately, as rare as I wish it was, but many times that safety boundary is broken by another. You're a child and you're abused. You didn't, you as a child, you didn't break that boundary was broken though. And anytime a boundary is broken, it's an opportunity really for whatever you make it to be, but think of the opportunity to increase the self-love. Because if a boundary is broken, whether by ourselves, I'll give an example of that too, just so it's easy. Anytime you say yes to a no or no to a yes, you're breaking a boundary. I've been invited to, a lot of things. A friend invites you out to dinner, something simple like that, and you're feeling like, I'm dedicating to my self-care. I don't feel like I have the energy to give that person, but they're so nice. I want to keep their friendship, so I'm going to, even though everything in me is saying no, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to go, and you broke a boundary. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to put up a gigantic wall, but it's just a little hit. So anytime, shoot, I lost my train of thought now. Anytime a boundary is broken, it fills in. Now, as a massage therapist, I understand how scar tissue works. So let me tell you, because this is kind of what the walls to me are. So our soft tissues are, they're great, but they have there's a flow to them, right? There's a beautiful flow to them. When we cut, say we cut a muscle, scar tissue rushes in to fill it. And scar tissue comes in and fills it in all these like, it's not this flow. Like the flow of the muscle fibers all move in the one direction, and there's a flow and energy can move. Scar tissue comes in there and it's like, I have to stop, this break. I have to fill in this break right now. And break meaning like, the muscle. So it just scatters in there in all the different directions, and that's why you have scars. That is, it's not all in the flow of it. It's just mishmashed and stuck in there as it needs to, as it can, as quickly as it can to heal this break or this tear or this rip or this leak. If we're going to look at it as that boundary, that force field of protection around our values, if that breaks, we're going to throw something in there, and it usually isn't a good feeling. It's usually that self-doubt that creates this wall. And that wall is like the scar tissue that just goes in there, and it seems to heal that, because it makes the boundary all connected, so it connects it back together, but it's hard. Luckily, whereas in our bodies, scar tissue, it's gonna be there. You can do some things with it to like make it flow a little bit better, but it's going to be there. Luckily, with the self-doubt walls, we get to dissolve those, and they do dissolve. And they dissolve, again, with self-love. And they dissolve with truly, like, that self-worth, and truly understanding what and who we really are, and where our value really lies, and where our values really come from, which is source. Cool thing about this, if you do have trouble figuring out what your values are, your numerology, like your birthday, will give you values that your soul is like, these values are super duper important for me this lifetime. These are the values I came here to really honor and protect, and probably be very tested in. And there's going to be breaks in a lot of them, but it's because these are the kind of these soul contracts, like these values are kind of these soul contracts that I've come here to really, really use and utilize to come more into my fullness and my healing and my growth and my evolution, because the soul is here to evolve. That's the only thing the soul came to earth for, to evolve, to expand, to learn. As we expand all consciousness. It's really crazy. I can get super meta right now, but let's just talk about values. So I'll give you examples from my birth date, which is October 22nd. I'll just give you those two. So my soul value, my soul number, my soul value contract is the number 4, because 22 is 4. And you can look at 22 in a couple of ways, but I'm going to just get down to the basic, 2 + 2 = 4. That's the base number of my soul value contract. So 4 is the neutral mind, and it is that heart unconditional love. It's the Christ consciousness aspect, really. So my soul needs to feel and to show and to share unconditional love and neutrality. Is this a value of mine? Absolutely it is. Do I break that value? All the time. But what has happened when that does happen is I learn, I grow, I evolve, I set up a wall, oh no, can't love unconditionally, because what if I'm wrong? This is my own experience. I once had a man ask me if I'd ever had a broken heart before. And I was like, because I'd always been the one to break up with my partners, because I would not let myself be hurt. So yes, I had a broken heart because I kind of started with one, I think. Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, before I was even in relationships, my heart was already kind of broken. I was trying to mend that with another, that's also another number in my soul map, so I could get into that more, but I won't. So that's one of my values. So now I know, like, okay, any kind of situation or person or opportunity comes my way. Am I neutral about it, and am I feeling and giving love? If no, now that, like, my boundary is that basically is say yes to if that's what's going on within me, and say no to it if that's not what's going on with me. If I say no and I really wanted to say yes, which typically is the other way around, I'll want to say no. And that's how boundaries are too, right? Boundaries are a lot about no. It's like so much we say yes to things that we don't want. So if I say yes to something that I really don't want, I'm going to be tinged a little bit with some self-doubt. And that self-doubt is going to create a little bit of a wall because I need to strengthen that boundary, right? But it doesn't really strengthen it. It just prevents the energy flowing. Boundaries don't prevent energy flowing. They're just there to protect us and keep us aligned with our soul value contracts. Second one I'll talk about is the 10, which is leadership, which is, for me, being 100% authentic and shining and being truthful and honest with everything. To me, that's what being a leader is. Everyone might have a different leader definition, and that's cool. But if you know, like, okay, my soul is really, really, it's really, really important for me to see myself and conduct myself as what I see a leader to be. And if I'm not doing that, it's like that's when the self-doubt comes up and builds walls for me to dissolve with self-love, which means I need to get in and feel and see who the source of me is. And Kundalini Yoga does that, and it's so cool because Kundalini Yoga, to me, it's just this mind bypass, because we try to do everything with our conscious minds, right? Like, everything. Our conscious minds are so, like, they're just so cute. They just think they have it all figured out, and all we have to do is, vision something, and then it's gonna come, as long as we kind of like feel it or pretend. And it's just like, yeah, but the conscious mind, like, I don't know how much you've done with that, but I've done a lot with it, and it doesn't work. Not really. It's those programs, it's those loops that are running in the background that we have had since childhood, and they're there, and we don't always, and it's almost like we have to use our conscious mind to figure out how to get into the subconscious mind. But what if we had a practice that shifts our energy field and our nervous system and our subconscious mind to just clear it out without us having to actually force it? And, like, what's the word I'm looking for? That rooster's so cute, huh? Did you hear? Effort it into coming out. Like, that's not how it works. We have to actually just stop thinking so that our subconscious can rise. And the cool thing is, yes, it does rise, but we're working on ourselves with these practices so that it can clear and we can still be in that self-love, and then our values can uphold themselves because we've got these boundaries. Okay, that's what I've been talking about. That's what I've been channeling about and just brain dumping about, and how it can be such an amazing, like, you can really become boundless. Like, we are souls that are free. Our soul has always been free. I have shared this, and I actually, a mutual friend of Anella and me, I'm such a grammar freak that I just said the wrong word, and I'm like, oh no, I gotta cut that. but I won't. But a mutual friend of Anella and me, and I'm sure Anella feels the same way too, is Lolly said recently, she like made a post like, your soul is always free or something. I can't remember the exact words she used, but she said the same thing, like, your soul is free. And our soul is free. Our soul is absolutely boundless, and we can actually live aligned with that boundless soul, and we can have a boundless life. So I think I mentioned way in the beginning that I think I'm changing my podcast. Right now it's Wild Radiance, which I love as well. That's my sisterhood name. So actually, if you're interested in working with these numbers and with, you know, your soul value contracts and with your boundaries and with your self-love and honoring and honing in and just developing that so that you can be boundless, that's a really awesome place to start. It's in the sisterhood. It's only $25 a month, and we expand. We really expand into the most full versions of ourselves. So let me know if you are interested in that, and I'm going to be adding to it, and I don't think the price will change either. I love that number 25. So I'm going to really start to work within there with this Boundless Soul aspect, which that's what I think my podcast might become, is the Boundless Soul. And yeah, just talking about how interesting is it that to be boundless, you really do need to have boundaries. What? It's that paradox that all things metaphysical seem to contain. I'm going to see what Anella said. Oh, I like that. It is beautiful. Okay, well, she says that I shifted her consciousness in that word, but I don't know what that word was. So I'm glad that worked for you, whatever word that was. I'm just kind of like going through all of my recent downloads and channelings and brain dumps, and I'm glad one of the words worked for you. That's fantastic. And yeah, this was a little bit different. I usually come on here and I just kind of see what channeling wants to come through, and today it was just like, no, share the stuff that we've been giving you. Oh yeah, between the hours of 11:30 p.m. and 1 a.m. Thanks a lot, guys. But really, it's probably my fault because I'm probably not quiet enough during the day to receive what they want to give me, and at night when I'm trying to sleep is just the best time. So whatever, it's all good. Yeah. So another thing that I do offer is healing sessions and channelings, which go together. It's the same, it's the same session. At this point in time, what we do, there's two options for you. You can either let me know you'd like a channeled message, and I can send that to you. And I send about 20 minutes of Reiki and energy, and then I do a soul channeled writing for you. And that's $40. And that's it right now. Actually, that's all I want to offer. So if you have, specific questions or any boundary issues coming up, then that might be a really great thing for you to do. It's, it's really accessible and easy. And then if you're really, really wanting to dig deep, a soul map reading is awesome. And you can find that on laurachristine.us. Lots of changes are coming. I'm really excited about them, but I'm not going to force them. I'm going to let it flow, and I'm going to be in the playfulness of it, because if you take nothing else away from this, even though I talked all about boundaries and all about self-love and all about self-doubt and all about how values are super important and how to know your values, blah, 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 blah. But if you take nothing else from this, the rooster says cock-a-doodle-doo, and also play. Play is super important. It is so, so important to enjoy the moment. And if you are getting stuck in your thoughts or in your depression, like I've been a little bit, I haven't been stuck because I just and I called some friends. And by the way, if you're feeling depressed, call friends, please. That's what they're there for. The definition of leadership. Oh, great. Thanks, Danella. Yeah, right? That's mine. That's how I feel like being a leader is to just be really authentically who you are, completely shining your brightness and not hiding anything. And that just kind of leads, even unconsciously, you're leading others to step into their own fullness too, right? So, yeah. Yeah, but if you take nothing else away from this, do what you can to enjoy something. Even if you're feeling like crap and you can't get out of that crappy feeling, see if you can enjoy that somehow. Like, just revel in it. Revel in the tears. Revel in knowing that so many souls want to be on earth right now because we have a chance of not a lifetime, but like probably millions of lifetimes. In this lifetime right now, we are able to dissolve our karma in this lifetime right now. All of it. And that's not normal. So, wow, we are blessed. And it's a crazy time. But there's a blessing in it. So much aloha to you. I love you all. And do not ever get down on yourself for any broken boundaries that you've ever had in your life. They're your chance to bring even more love in. The Sufis have a prayer, shatter my heart so I can create a new room for a limitless love. And so if your boundaries are broken, it's just a call to love more, to have more love, to let more love in, and to let more love shine out. Okay? Much love. Aloha. Satnam. You are so beautiful. I feel blessed that you're here watching or listening, and just go out and have a day. Satnam.